Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Food for Thought podcast. I'm Taylor
And I'm Sarah, and this is where we are going to show you the art of wealthification.
and teach you the science of becoming. With that said,
Let's get into it. So, what are we talking about, Taylor?
so today we're talking about how we need to be surprised by opposition to our desires and not expect it.
Meaning, to you, what exactly does that mean?
So, if you have a goal, if you have a dream, if you have something that you are really truly trying to attain, there are expectations or hesitations in the case that we're talking about. So an opposition is nothing more than a hesitation.
The doubt.
The doubt, yes.
So, when you want something, let's say I'm like, oh, I want to start a business, and I'm over here thinking of all the reasons why it cannot work, or things that may come up that may throw me off. So I have to create 6 backup plans. Like, no, the other night we were watching that show Money Heist. I don't know if you guys have seen that show. We're not big TV
Great show.
people, but we love it. And
Because of how genius it is.
yeah, and one of the characters said, "So what's plan B?" And she said, "There is no plan B. Plan A is the only one that can work."
Yep.
And
There is.
you have
There
to
is
trust
only.
the plan.
Yeah. And it's your best plan. So it's put your best plan that you can with what you have into action, and then hope for the best.
Yeah. And if something comes up along the way,
Trust yourself to handle it.
yeah, it's really that simple. And at the end of the day, it's crippling, the constant fear of the opposition. There are so many reasons why we don't do things. We would basically stay in our homes all the time. If you have so much doubt in one area that makes you doubtful, have faith, right? It's like every single time you go out and you're like, oh my God, what if I get hit by a car? You can't live like that. When you have things that you want, you're like, I want this house in Greece, and I want to have a business, and I want to start a podcast. Well, what if people don't like me? Who cares? Can't be afraid of those things. It comes down to, you will be crippled for the rest of your life by that fear. And our last podcast, we talked about that a little bit, about the fear. You can't expect all the bad things to happen. You'll stay in the same place forever.
And you take that concept and run a million different directions with it. So let's start with the simplest one. So you said, if we let that rule our life, we let fear. That's exactly what in opposition to our desire is. Obviously, no one wants to fail. No one wants things to not work out the way that they hope they should. But we know that certain things can happen.
Yeah.
But also the good things can happen too.
Yeah.
And who are you to say for certain that you know the bad is more likely than the good?
Yeah.
Well, there are certain areas where, so probabilities, right? What's his name? So one of the most successful investors of our time wrote a book, Ray Dalio.
Oh yeah.
Ray Dalio wrote the book called Principles, Work and Life. Giant book.
It's huge.
Like probably bigger than the Bible.
Yeah.
This guy, every decision that he made, he would write down afterward a principle that he was able to extract, whether it was why something worked or why something didn't, why it was a good decision or why it was a bad decision, based on the probability of the good outcome. So he said, always weigh your decisions based on the probability of if it's going to benefit or if it's going to.
Yeah, liability and assets, right? We hear that all the time. The people in your life, they're either a liability or they're an asset. Same thing with every decision you make. Is this going to be, and don't let it hinder you, but
What's going to work to get into that goal?
There's overthinking, and then there's being prepared, right? So
and then there's being careless.
Yeah.
So careless. I mean, sometimes some of these guys they just go.
Sometimes you just freaking go for it and
reckless approach.
And you hope that it works out, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I mean, ultimately, in terms of the liability and assets, every decision you make, you're making that decision based on the information you already have.
Yep.
So you can't go searching for reasons or possible outcomes that could happen that are going to hinder you.
And I believe it was, so I heard Earl Nightingale say this on one of his talks about what to come home and think about. I think he mentioned the quote came from Epictetus way back when,
Yeah.
it was Roman time. You know, ancient wisdom
Mm-hmm.
that is still true and relevant when Earl Nightingale, before our time, but more modern, recognized, and Earl Nightingale is one of the geniuses from our time. He's Dean of Personal Development.
Yeah.
You guys don't listen to him. Get on YouTube, type in his name. Whatever comes up, watch it
Yeah, listen to it.
and rewatch it, and then watch it some more.
Yeah.
And listen to it and write it down, because we need powerful advice in our life. We need powerful messages, and this one is perhaps the most profound. He said, luck is what happens when preparedness meets opportunity. Now, for the blending of that beautiful wisdom in our message today and what our talk is about today. So don't expect opposition to your desires. Expect what you want.
Expect it to go exactly how you
Expect
want
to
it
be
to,
lucky.
and be shocked if it doesn't. And if it doesn't, trust yourself. And if you can't trust yourself enough, trust some sort of power higher than you to take care of it.
The faith. But so what I'm saying with that is, you can get lucky, right? So luck is the outcome, the good happening, the thing. Sometimes, so you're going for, let's say you're trying to make a sale and you're hoping that you make $1,000 sale. Like, well, maybe at least, let me get this. Okay, that's good. Now, what happens if in that sale that person happens to buy $3,000 versus $1,000? Would you call that lucky? No,
No.
luck doesn't exist. The word luck equals when preparedness meets opportunity. The opportunity is you going in and expecting to make a sale.
Yeah.
A sale. The good, the positive
Yeah.
is I'm going to make the sale.
Yeah.
The negative is I'm not.
Yeah, be shocked if it doesn't, and be pleasantly surprised if it exceeds your expectations.
And be grateful.
Yeah.
Be thankful. Never get too cocky. But also, you would have never made that sale. You would have never gotten that job. You would have never met that person
Yeah.
if you were not prepared.
And
So now,
sometimes,
hold on, let's talk about prepare.
well, hold on. Sometimes those things happen though that exceed your expectations, because we're talking about don't expect it to not work out. If you go in there and you expect the bare minimum of what your intentions are and it exceeds your expectations, you said, now, like, don't bank on that every time. It's not lucky. It's the fact that you were prepared, but sometimes those things happen to show you
What's
that
possible?
exactly that this can happen more than once. Maybe you weren't prepared in that situation and it happened because that person just so happened to want to buy, right? Have you ever had a client, depending on what you do, let's say you're selling a product, and whatever you do, you have a retail goal to sell X amount. You hit your goal for the day, or you're like, oh, I just need to sell one more of this and I hit my goal. And someone comes in and is like, I need this, that, and that. They just so happen to need that. That's not luck. That happened to you because you were thinking at the bare minimum. It's to help set your goals higher, because there are people who need what you have. There are people who are desiring what you also want them to be desiring. A lot of people are on the same frequency and think that nobody's on the same page as them or needs what they have to offer.
Yeah. And so with the word preparedness, that's what I was trying to take. Great point, though. Prepare for the best and know that you can handle the worst.
Yeah.
So now carelessness would be, all right, I'm going to take all my savings. I'm going to sell my house. I have a family. I have kids. I'm going to just sell it all and bank it on going out there. I did no research. I did nothing. I'm hoping. Now, if things worked out, my God, you better get on your knees and freaking
Pray to whatever the heck you believe.
all day long, because you got,
We have a special guest.
yeah,
Perfect
a
over here.
bird back here. Because you got extremely lucky.
Yeah.
That we'll call lucky.
Oh, yeah.
However, I mean, so whatever tickles your fancy, right?
Yeah.
If that's, I can't do that. So, and I'll admit I am a bit of a overthinker. But now I'm finally coming to that there's a fine line between overthinking and taking urgent action.
Yeah.
So procrastination and execution, or preparation. So preparation and procrastination, they're like,
Yeah, it's a very slippery slope before they overlap.
Yeah.
And you run into a I don't know anymore, right? Because we all know when we're procrastinating. We all know when we're overthinking.
see, but sometimes we've been doing it for so long that we don't.
That's true.
It becomes an unconscious blockage or a fear. So fear is actually the thing that stops us ever.
Yeah.
Think of it like this. If you had an omnipresent fear on your mind that, my God, I could get into a car accident today, would you get in your car? If that was the most dominant thought on your mind, would you get in your car?
No.
You would not.
No. And if you did, then the
You
likelihood of that happening.
would probably have an accident.
Yeah, because you'd be doing this the whole entire time trying to stay in the line when you naturally just know how to do it. It shouldn't be of concern.
And for some of our viewers who maybe aren't familiar with this phenomenon and they're like, my God, this is some voodoo stuff.
Yeah.
There's actually a law to the universe that we're coming to here.
Yeah. The law of attraction.
What you think about, so the strangest secret in the world, right? I gave you guys a little hint earlier.
Earl Nightingale.
The strangest secret in the world is that we become what we think about. In other words, we come into contact with what is the most prevalent and strongest in our mind and in our feelings. When you fear something, you get something in your stomach.
Yeah.
Now, and I think I've explained this to you before. So kind of weird, but if you guys have ever been in this scenario, you'll know what I'm talking about. So when we say, do you have the guts? Right? Your guts. Where are your guts? Your guts are in your belly. Or a hunch. There's something, but it's in here. It's in the belly.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, I love him. He's been an idol of mine forever. He talks about the fire in his belly. Other people talk about the fear in the belly. So we have fear and fire both in here.
Yeah, working simultaneously.
What I've discovered is that the fire is the deepest. Fear is up here. Fear is closer to the lungs, and it will make you hold your breath. And I've read this, I want to say it was, what book was that? The Big Leap. In The Big Leap, there's a quote in there. I forget who it's by. If you guys haven't read that book, it's an awesome book. He says, fear is excitement without the breath. And that is totally true. So if you guys will try this out and pay attention to this. The fire is your fuel. The fire is the passion.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what if?
Yeah.
What if? That is from the belly button and below. That's the core of who you are. That's the fire. That is the, whatever you believe in. That's the sensation of
The motivation. That's the thing that would push you.
inspiration. When we breathe in, that's inspirato.
Yeah, I mean that's the
Inspiration and expiration is the exhale.
Yeah.
When we hold our breath, though, there's no inspiration. It's fear. So if you keep holding your breath, what happens? Well, you can't
die from
die. You can't choke yourself. But if somebody stopped you from breathing for long enough, you would.
Yeah.
However, you can take in as much oxygen as you want.
And feel the fire. Essentially, I mean fire.
Fire without oxygen
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah.
So when we expect the opposition or the fear, the doubt, the worry, the anxiety, the what if this bad thing? All we are doing is fueling the fear, and the fear is on top of the fire. Fear is the cap. It is the if you guys ever had a fire pit, you put the thing on top to kill the fire.
Yeah.
So fear kills the fire. Opposition or expectation of opposition kills the fire.
Yeah.
So how do we take the lid off?
Well, it starts with, I mean, ultimately your confidence is everything. Your confidence is simply your ability to believe in something to be true. So if you are confident, if you are, what's the word?
Certainly.
The conviction.
Yeah.
you have 100% conviction that this is possible, that I can do this. It all comes back to your self-confidence, right? Your ability to make a sale. Some people might say, oh, confidence is just your ability to look good and be fit and this and that. It's not.
They help.
It helps, but because that's like the physical barrier, but the
You
physical
can be
is
an ugly
literally
mug
yeah,
and be the most confident person out there.
because you have faith in your abilities, you trust yourself. So it comes down to if you don't, if you're sitting here being crippled by the fear of the opposition to your
Fear
desire,
of the unknown. You don't even know if that thing is true or
yeah,
not.
well, so if you're being crippled by that, it comes down to either you have never done it and you have to simply push past it, do it once and see if you're good enough, right? Because that's what the fear is. Am I good enough?
Test it.
Or develop your skills more. Sometimes we get a fire about something, right? I've had so many things I was so excited about right away. I'm like, I can do this. And once I start doing it, I realized I don't have enough information. So why do something halfway to have to redo it when I know that I need to learn? Buy the books, take the courses, do what you got to do. It might take me 3 times as long as anybody else. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if you know that you don't have this skill, it comes down to you're going to be crippled by that forever until you take the time and make the effort to develop it. Or if you know that you have the skill, but as soon as you get put in front of somebody else, you're like, oh, I don't know. Or as soon as the opportunity comes, you're afraid. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. It's scary. You're like, oh God, I might throw up. I don't know. But try it. What's the worst that can happen? That's the thing. What is the worst that can happen? Like I was reading
And then,
10
hold on.
fellows as well.
And then what's the best that could happen? And then the worst, all right, is there something I could do now to prepare me to eliminate one of those worst cases?
Yeah.
So let's say we had 10 worst things that could happen, but through preparation, I was able to limit them down to 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Those 2 could still happen, but I mean, the odds are really in my
I mean,
favor for
ultimately,
what I
the
want.
worst case scenario that could happen is you could die. And if you're afraid to go and make the sale, if you're afraid to go up to somebody, if you're afraid to make the phone call, you're
Yeah.
afraid to have the conversation, we're talking about all different things. There's someone you didn't have a conversation with, you prepared for it, you don't know what their comebacks are going to be, you try to plan it every which way, but you can't. What's the worst that can happen? Am I going to die? No? Do it anyway. Who cares?
Well, remember what I had said about, so when we talked about surveying the market, going out prospecting.
Yeah.
It's scary. You're by yourself, unknown person. I'm going to go in the parking lot because, we're not rich yet. We can't put the Facebook ads out. We can't do what the
It's all
perfect,
organic and
we can't do the perfect thing yet.
yeah.
That's okay. How do you think the guys who are doing the perfect thing, who are doing the best advertisement, the best strategy, the best package, the best thing, how did they get started? McDonald's started inside of the street.
Yeah.
They're little, like a hot dog stand
Yeah.
selling burgers. From that, they had multiple. From that, how about on Shark Tank, we saw that woman who's doing vegan hot dogs.
Yeah.
Started with a food cart. From the food cart, got another food cart. From those 2, bought a trailer. From the trailer, bought 1 store. From the store, now has 3. And now she's on Shark Tank with the product.
Yeah.
My God. How long did that take?
How
What?
scary was it to go out that first time and say, I don't know if people like this. I'm going
Hot
to
dogs-
invest in
A hot
stand."
dog stand.
Yeah.
I'm out in the sun. But do you think her dream was to do a hot dog stand?
The dream was to build empire out of the product.
Exactly. Her dream was to sell as many of those vegan products as she believed would help the marketplace for those who wanted a healthy option
Vegan option.
that fit their lifestyle. And she didn't have the money to start with
A
this
store.
yet. The first thing.
Nice. Yeah.
So back to what I was saying about the prospecting, I had said, go out there so you're scared. Just get there. So the barriers of entry, it's always the fear, it's always the what ifs, and in the negative way. If the what if in your mind was good, oh my God, what if this happened? What if this? What if this? What if this? What if this?
Yeah. It's kind of like
You're gonna go. You're
Yeah.
gonna freaking run with it.
Yeah. Think about like middle school dances when you're like uncomfortable. You went because all your friends are going or prom or whatever, and you're standing in the corner and you're not dancing. You're not talking to anybody. You're literally standing there by yourself. How many times are you going to stand in the corner and not say anything to anyone and not
Watch
make any action
your life
and watch
happen.
everybody else do it in front of you? It's only just get there, and if you stand there, if your goal, we keep talking about sales, if your goal is to go out and get leads and survey or whatever, you're too afraid to approach anybody, stand there with your clipboard.
Yeah.
Just stand there.
Stand there like this.
Odds are someone's gonna ask you what the hell are you doing, or
Are
you're
you
gonna
okay?
say,
They're gonna say,
yeah.
are you okay?
"Sir, are you lost?" Like
And then guess what will happen? The words will come out of nowhere.
something will happen.
Because if you put yourself in the position, in the spot, so the on the spot power we talked about,
Yeah.
put yourself in the spot of discomfort at whatever level you're able to. So standing there with the clipboard, you're scared shitless. You don't know what's gonna happen. So you're standing there,
Trying to plan what you're gonna say.
hopefully smiling.
Yeah. Actually, maybe not. It was a little scary, but
Well, I mean,
hopefully you look approachable. But
hopefully you look approachable. But if not, how many hours are you gonna stand there, killing time, not doing what you're supposed to, but you're in the spot? I guarantee you, immediately you're gonna get yourself into that next step.
well, how many times are you gonna do that until it becomes regret? And you can only live in regret for so long. It's the same thing as you set these goals for your life, and then 10 years later you decide, you said you wanted to start a business. 10 years later you still haven't started it. Like you're gonna live forever with that regret. Odds are that regret and that, well, this is what it could have been, but I was too scared to do it. That's going to eat you forever. Just do it now instead of 10 years later when you're in a hole and you're in a situation that
Now it's
you
like,
could have avoided. It feels like, why even try now? It's been so long, so much time has passed. But only let yourself stand there like this for so long about it.
Eric Thomas actually says a great line. He says, "It's never the right time to do a great thing," and that's so true.
Yeah. And that's the thing. People are going to rain on your parade, and it's going to happen. I was having a conversation with a client of mine, and I was telling her, we started a podcast, and my goal here is to make impact and share information, especially as someone who's young, and a lot of my following is very young, and you happen to turn me onto the path of, you introduced me to Jim Rohn, and that from that second, my life has changed. But that's what my goal is. And I was telling my client, I'm like, actually, I lost a ton of followers.
Before Jim Rohn, what happened to get you to listen to Jim Rohn? Remember that hard talk that?
Oh, yeah. Well, hold on. That's not my point. My point is that I was explaining to this client that I've lost followers. People either don't like me or don't like what I have to say because they say they don't want to hear it. That's okay. You're going to have naysayers. You're going to have people who don't want what you're selling. You're going to have people who simply, it's free. I'm giving information for free and they don't want to hear it. There's nothing wrong with that.
They're not in alignment.
That means that's okay. But that's one of those things that the opposition, when I noticed a decrease in activity happening and things like that, tracking my insights, and I was like, why? Why is that happening? Is there something I'm doing wrong? No, my mission may not be aligned with what somebody else wants, and that's okay.
Weed them out.
Read them out early.
Weed them out.
And that's okay. So my point is that not everyone's going to like what you have to say. Not everyone's going to want what you're selling. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you know what the purpose is.
Not everyone's going to like you.
And that, yeah, keep that vision alive. It doesn't matter, How many times have you gone out to eat and you get a server and you're like, they didn't do anything wrong. There's just something about them. You don't really like their personality or the jokes they're making. They didn't do anything wrong. They're just not for you. And that's okay.
But
don't let that be a barrier to keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Eventually someone's going to notice. Eventually something's going to happen. Something's going to change. But if your why is powerful, just do it. Do it forever in private if that's what it takes to get you out there.
Tony Robbins said, people are awarded in public for what they've practiced for years in private. So that's based on what you just finished with. But prior to that, I wanted to say, so that server, right? You don't like them, whatever. They're not for you. Okay. Who is? Who is for you? Who are you for?
Yeah.
It comes down to the first question, the only question that ever matters. Who are you and why are you here?
Yeah, the two most important days of a person's life is the day you were born and the reason you find out why.
The day you find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that is a great way to leave off. And I think the last bit that we want to share with you guys is find out who you are, why you're here, and do everything in your power to make it happen.
And don't be afraid, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you in the same place as where you are now.
Awesome. If you guys,
Have a successful day.
and if you enjoyed our talk today, please like and share this video, and we will see you next week.
Yes, and subscribe.